I've never used my voice with Modular before. No samples, no preparation, just me, a mic and the Morphagene. Today I want to explore what happens when I bring my voice into my Modular system. We'll try out two patches, I thought, one more rap inspired and chopped and one more singing, slow and lush. If you're curious about combining vocals in Modular, or if you've been scared of trying the Morphagene, this one's for you. So my patch overview for the vocal chopping setup is the following. Into the gene in or audio in comes the mic through the preamp. In the splice in, I will sometimes put in a trigger from the Octatrack. The clock in is from the Mutant Brain or Octatrack, and the audio out goes into the Mimeophon. Let me show you how I record in Slice in real time. So at first I choose a new reel for each new project. You do that by hitting splice and record. So you enter the reel mode. You can see that also when the reel is blinking. So what you do next is you can swipe with the organize knob through all the reels you have. And in the end, you can see a reel which is blinking like pink and purple. And this always creates a new reel when you leave the reel mode. You do that again by hitting splice with record. So now we got a new reel. When you want to record into the same splice, you just hit record. And if you want to record into a new splice, you hit record in splice. If you later on, when you have recorded a full loop, want to create manual splices, you can do that by hitting the splice button. Each tab adds a new slice at that moment. And these slices are points where the Morphagene can jump to or scan to. You have to turn the gene knob to scrub the current gene position, and you have to turn the organize knob to move across different slices. You can also patch CV into the organize input or a trigger into the shift input to modulate the position of the gene hands-free. To sync to a clock, I send a clock from the Mutant Brain into the clock input, and this will make the Morphagene slicing or looping tempo aligned. For this patch, I want to do some rapping vocals and chop them rhythmically. So let's set this up for recording. We gotta turn the SOS button all the way to the left. This knob has to be on 3 o'clock to the right. And there are different ways to record. At first, I want to load a fresh reel. You get into reel mode by pressing splice and record. Then this reel lamp starts flashing. And when you twist the organize knob, you can see it's changing reels. And when you go through all to the end, you have one blinking in these two colors, flashing pink and purple. And this creates a new reel when you exit the reel mode. You do this again by pressing splice and record. So now we got a fresh reel. There are multiple ways to record into the Morphagene. You can record manually by just hitting record. That way you record into the same splice. And if you want to record into a new splice, you hit record and then splice. For this rap chopping vocals, I prefer to record on time, which is why I have prepared 3 different MIDI channels, which are then transferred into gates. So the green one we will use for the playback trigger, the red one for the recording triggers, and the yellow one for the shift triggers. I'll explain all of that later. So we are starting with recording. That's why I'm gonna take channel 4, the red cable, and you plug it into the record input right next to the record flashlight. That means this record button gets activated when it's receiving a gate. Once the gate is closing, it stops. That means if you have a gate set up for 1 bar long, it will record for 1 bar as long as the gate is open. Then it's gonna close and pause for a bar. So it's just always recording every second bar. So I'm gonna plug this into there. And let's check the settings on the Octatrack. I want some quicker BPM. Let's take like 123. Yes. And I'm gonna program into channel 4 a recording trigger, always on the beginning of a 2-bar loop. Okay, so let's see how that works. Buttercup, melon, lush, where is my ice cream shop? I didn't put a click, so let's do this again. I'm gonna delete the last or all splices. You can do this by pressing Shift and holding record for 3 seconds. So now we got again an empty reel. And I'm gonna turn on the click. And let's go. Buttercup, melon, lush, where is my ice cream shop? So you see it turned off now. And now let's see what's playing back. You can listen to it when you turn this knob all to the right. All right.
Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon,
All right.
lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush.
Now it plays back synced to the clock, but it's not necessarily synced to the beginning of the beat. We can ensure that if we put an input into the play input, it just needs a short trigger and then it plays back the current splice. So for the playback, we are using the third channel with a green cable. Let's check the sequence first. We got here on every step, but I want to play back the whole loop. So I'm deleting every trigger except on the first step.
My ice cream shop.
And now let's see.
Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon,
Now
lush.
it fits perfectly.
Where is my ice cream shop?
Let's see if we add
lush. Where is my ice cream shop?
a beat.
Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where is my ice cream shop?
Now, next step would be to chop the vocals. So I want to create something rhythmical with these. So you can create manually splices by hitting the splice button, but I prefer to create the splices with the Octatrack. You do that by sending a trigger whenever you want to create a new splice into the input right next to the splice input. So let's take channel 2, the yellow one, for the splices. And we need to put a sequence into the Octatrack, how we want the splices to be created. Like, I want on every beat a new splice. So I got the sequence like this. Let's put it in and let's start playback.
butter,
I don't like what it did with the splices. Alright, so I don't know what happened. So I am gonna clear this whole thing. Alright, so let's do this again. Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop?
my ice cream shop. Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop?
Okay, we're back on track now.
Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop?
Sounds better. Let's see what happens when we put more triggers in. Okay, this is annoying, as you can hear. So what you can do, if you wanted to play back the original loop with the slices all in order, you can send a trigger with the same sequence as the splices are into the shift. So it will change to the next splice when it receives the trigger signal. So let's try this out. Let's start with the first trigger. We are on stop and play.
Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop? Shop. Buttercup, melon, lush, where's my ice cream shop? Shop, shop, shop.
All right. Let's see what happens if we patch a LFO into the organized.
Buttercup, melon, lush, is my buttercup, melon, is my buttercup, melon, where buttercup.
Depending on the CV it is receiving, it changes to a different splice. What happens if we put into a morph? Let's keep the splice one though.
Melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush.
This one transposes.
Ice cream shop. Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? 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 Buttercup, melon, lush.
Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, lush. Where's my shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush.
I like this.
My ice cream shop? Buttercup. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush.
What happens if we bring in a beat?
My ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's 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 my
Ice cream shop.
Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, lush. Where's my ice cream shop? Buttercup, melon, where's my ice
Yeah, so first try, I think, pretty cool. Or what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So yeah, as you can hear, like, don't stress so much about precision. Just chop, shift, and repeat, and sometimes random rhythms create kind of the best hooks, you know, as you could just hear. So for the second patch, I want to record some lush vocals to have more like an ambient, evolving pad texture kind of thing. For this, I need to reset the Morphagene and the Mimeophon. I'm gonna put it all to dry, this all to the left and this again to the green, so I can listen to the playback and record a tempo. This is super fiddly, so can be kind of frustrating. Now we got it. Okay, so let's see. Let's put on a click and take out the playback. This is too fast. Let's put it 82. Oh my god, hearing my voice dry like this is really fucking weird. Let's put on some reverb and delay from the Mimeophon maybe. Okay, let's take this. I want to record it on time, so I'm gonna use this technique with the Octatrack I've introduced before. So I'm gonna take the channel 4 and I'm gonna patch it into the rack input. Let's check what triggers we got here. Okay, it's 2. So let's just have it for one phrase. And it's recorded. Now we just have to patch back in the playback, but let's change it to the complete phrase first. So we got one trigger for the whole 2-bar loop. All right, I can put off the click. So for this one, I recorded this short sung phrase, and it's less about clarity, more about texture. So let's put in some more delay. Oh, I like this. Let's put up the rate. It's almost canonical. Let's record some splice markers. Okay, the last splice marker I don't like, so you can delete the splice marker and join it to the previous splice by hitting Shift and Splice. So it's deleted. Just have 3 slices. Let's put more triggers. Let's make it a little bit more random this time. You heard this pitched up thing? This is from the Morph. Let's patch something into the shift input, so the slices get chosen randomly again. Now you can also play with the pitch. If you pass by 12 o'clock, it reverses the playback. It's the same phrase, original speed, but reversed. Not that much my thing. You can make a whole choir playing with Okay, this is getting too crazy for me. Let's put it back to original speed. Again, all of this runs through the Mimeophon. Morphagene isn't just a slicer, it can turn your voice into a whole instrument, as you can hear, and just by stretching, looping, and letting it breathe. So that's my first time chopping vocals with Morphagene. Not as a pro, but as a curious artist trying something new. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever tried using your voice in Modular? Or would you want to see more of this kind of exploration? If it was helpful or inspiring, subscribe. I'm learning this stuff with you, one patch at a time.